Hello and welcome to Talking Bottom. I'm Ange Johnson.
I'm Matt Brooks.
And I'm Paul Tanter.
This week we're talking about Break, Series 3, Episode 3. And it's one of the best ones.
I think you can tell from the enthusiastic silence that I would say probably that people don't have that many positive things to say about it in this room.
Yeah,
it's none of our favourites.
Even when I rewatched Terror last week, it didn't feel a slog, whereas Break felt like a slog. 10 minutes in, I was looking to see how far in we were and how long there was left.
Do you think it was in any way intentional for it to drag the way that it does? Because, of course, the whole premise of the episode is that they're waiting to go on holiday. The writing is therefore them having to sit around.
The plot of Break is thus: Richie and Eddie book an exotic holiday to ... Bridlington. Well, actually Doncaster, 25 miles from the English coastal town. Full of excitement for their upcoming holiday, they start plan what they are going to do and what they are going to take with them. That's it. They start plan. This is on iTunes.
They start to plan.
I think this is fair to say that this is a middling to poor episode.
Yeah.
With some good comic performances in it, a few good gags and a few good physical set pieces.
It's not terrible. It's because it's still bottom. You know, it's like it's still pizza, but it's Hawaiian pizza, you know, something like that.
And there should
It's not
never be
your favourite.
pineapple. Yeah.
It's one of those weird ones where it's almost a two-hander, but technically not, because right at the end there's that Stargirl type. Is that what that outfit's called? A Stargirl?
I think
Showgirl.
You get the showgirl at the end, and you get the Mormon knocking on the door at one point.
Of course, I forget about that. Yeah, that's a good bit, actually. This episode starts off really suddenly and odd, doesn't it? You notice that?
Well, they're arriving back in the flat,
but
supposedly having booked the holiday.
I did think about that. I will say that before we get into the story, that my views on this partly informed by watching it when I was younger, but mainly on the reviewing that I did this week. And it's off an iTunes screener that I'm going to ask now if did you guys watch it off of iTunes?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
No, I watched it on Netflix.
Now, I don't know if this is... Do you remember a week or two ago we talked about there was an episode at the end of which there was some bonus scenes, and then there was the credits ran and there was no credits over the credits. This one, the one I watched, was 30 minutes and 30 seconds long, which is longer than it would have been when it was broadcast. And some scenes had bits that...
You don't remember?
Yeah, I didn't remember.
Like Eddie saying ow to
Ow,
camera.
yeah.
I think that's an added bit.
Some of the lines in Richie's bedroom, you know, just before he comes down the stairs with the suitcases, some of that felt extra. And then at the end, when the credits ran, again, it was them dancing but no credits. So I wonder if there's a weird extra iTunes version that is the one that's out now on iTunes.
Oh, that's
and that's not the one. And actually, what I should have done was watch it on Netflix.
Yeah, because Netflix is only 28 minutes.
Yeah,
So it would have been a bit tighter and stuff.
Also,
maybe.
I don't know whether this is due to the quality of the episode, but there were bits, every time they faded out of a scene, there was no musical sting.
I've written that down. It seems off. Something weird about it.
It falls flat, doesn't it?
Yeah, there were also times when I thought, this feels like there should have been an audience laugh there. Even if the gag wasn't that funny, you'd expect there to be a titter, and there wasn't anything. And at one point, I was genuinely checking the device I was using to see if the volume was working, and I wasn't only
That's
getting it in the right and not the left, or something like that.
It definitely felt, this is the first time I've watched it on iTunes, something really off about it. It's like the timings aren't quite right, the performances aren't quite there.
So many scenes seem to end not with a conclusion or a punchline, but with a fade out, that it made me wonder if they'd shot the episode and then in the edit the decision was made, we need to end this bit early, we'll fade out here, and then this next bit we need to end this bit early, we'll fade out. So you get lots of just fade, not even with the musical sting, and it just then moves to the next bit. And because of that, it doesn't flow, which is weird what you said about the beginning of it, Matt, because when it starts, it feels like we're already in an episode, like they're mid-story.
I know what you mean.
But then the first 5-10 minutes is just them talking about things that have happened to them. It's them telling stories about things. So it's telling and not showing.
Yeah.
And so
Which we have commended them for doing in the past very, very well.
Yeah,
descriptive.
But there's an awful lot of it in this one, to the point that it was
especially
noticeable.
We've had it a whole episode of it in whole. That's all they do really is talk about other stuff. And this one is a similar level of it because they're not in a different location. I guess you feel it a bit more.
Yeah,
one thing I did notice this episode, I think, might be the first time we see Richie with the belt like sort of tucked up over his pants thing. You know, he's got a slow evolution into that full.
I don't know. I think we've seen that before.
No, I don't know if we have. We maybe might have seen it in Terror. You wouldn't have seen it in Whole, would you?
I think we've seen that in series 2.
I don't know if you do. You see his pants and stuff. I don't think you see the belt missing a couple of loops and like sort of tucked over the pants and thing. You see it in the live show.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and have a look because I can't say I remember.
I will say, to give it its positives, it does start with a lot of energy. They come in, they're full flow with their characters.
I think the first 5 minutes of break is actually... There's nothing wrong with the first 5 minutes. Well, it's all the sort of great universe of, if we hadn't been slung out the pub by Dick for trying to fill our drinks up from the tray, then we wouldn't have run into, what's his name? Dodgy Bob McMayday.
The most violent travel agent in the world. That concept. It's such a bizarre claim to fame. And also filling your drinks from the drip tray. It's disgusting.
That reminded me of when the Grey Horse in Kingston was a shitty dive place where bands used to play. I'd go there to see friends in their bands, and someone I knew paid the staff £5 for the contents of the drip bucket because he really thought he was getting one over on them. That this has all the alcohol that hasn't been.
Do you think there's more alcohol in it?
Like in his mind, it was some heady cocktail that he was guaranteed to get pissed on. He was violently sick. He was like ill for several days.
Wow.
So I don't recommend drinking the contents of the drip tray or the drip bucket.
I mean, you wouldn't put it past Eddie, would you? Like, you can't, you're not surprised.
That is something you do, I think.
That's a very Richie and Eddie scam, isn't it?
Yeah, so I like how it's set up. I don't have any problem with the idea that they're going to go on holiday. And again, it harks back to the sort of classic British seaside. And all those jokes about Bridlington and being how far Doncaster is from the sea and those sort of just 70s holidays.
Something that's just dawned on me. This episode is them talking about going on holiday sort of thing. And yet... 2 episodes later, they're still someone's honeymoon. That's essentially them going on holiday.
Yeah.
Done the same plot twice almost.
Yeah. Based around the holiday thing, there is some really good, well-written gags. Like, for instance, the 25 minutes from the beach, give it a pause, buy car. Great gag. Although I do wonder if one or two of them rely on you knowing British geography a bit better than I do now, and definitely didn't know then at the time.
I don't know it, and I still get the joke.
I think it's actually not correct geography anyway.
Right.
In classic kind of bottom style. I think it's actually a lot further than 25 minutes, but again, you could say that was the travel agent talking it up when it's a blatant lie that it's even that close.
I do love that to most people Bridlington and Doncaster is like a cheesy carry-on kind of destination. To Richie and Eddie, it's like they're going to fucking Ibiza.
Yeah. So there's something sweet and innocent about that. Again,
they've chosen the name of that for that. That's one of the places that's name sound like a shithole before it's quite an accurate description. It's like Doncaster.
But the thing is,
horrible,
but it's not right. So
that's a niggle I've got.
I've got to take umbrage with that joke because it doesn't have a dong in it. It has a don in it.
It's just Doncaster.
Okay. Well, I only learned how to say things from bottom, so I didn't know that.
Interestingly, it's where Jeremy Clarkson hails from.
Britain has famously shit seaside resorts, doesn't it? Whether it's So I remember going to Skegness and Margate as a kid. God, they're depressing, horrible places. I went to Margate recently. Woolworths closed 10 years ago, and there's still an abandoned Woolworths there that hasn't had anything move in since.
Not a power shop in there yet.
The excitement from Richie about the holiday, it's Richie being a child, isn't it, again? It's them as kids. It's the small boy, the wonder of waiting for the holiday to start, combined with that thing that the serious dad in the family always does, which is, right, well, if we want to be in Devon for this time, we need to leave at 2 a.m, and we'll wheel the car off the driveway, so the neighbours don't know we're going, and I've plotted out where we're going to stop and all this kind of... It's the view of someone who thinks they need to be at the airport 4 hours before check-in opens.
It's the idea that going on holiday is such an arduous task that it takes all the fun out of it.
Oh, you can really imagine being on holiday with him as well, can't you? Like, just what a fucking bore he is when the lead up to it. It's fuck me. This episode has the problem that a lot of Series 3 has, where it's really overlit. Really, really bright, and especially since there's a lot of passage of times, and yet they come back to still bright daylight. Right near the end, it's dark.
Yeah, like you notice it, especially when they're over by the sofa, and Rick is at one point. It's almost like he's under a spotlight. So in this one, you notice more than ever that this is a different set to Series 1 and 2. Also, you spot instantly the shelving unit is not normal because I can see the wall through it. I can see the brown paper wall behind it. So it kind of almost flags that something's going to happen later on.
And the conservatory window doesn't look at all right, does it? And it's way overlit when they walk over into the kitchen.
Yeah, and also Series 1 and 2, when you look out through the conservatory and you look out through the other window, what you have is actually sort of created frontages. In this one, when Richie goes through the conservatory, you see the curtain that the brick is painted on visibly shake, and it feels quite cheap.
Well, I think which can sometimes work in a lot of comedy, sets wobbling, all that kind of thing.
Towers,
but
famously happened, didn't it?
Having had such an impetus on what the weather's like in the past in Bottom. It's very odd that it's such a bright episode without them commenting on the weather that's going on.
But the thing is, I don't think that it's bright because they're intending it to be sunny. It's just bright because they've overlit the set.
I think we are being a little bit too negative on this episode. We're slaughtering
I will say that I think Rick and Aid give it all to the script. Because I think they probably know that it's not one of the strongest. Yeah. But Richie in this episode is if you wanted to show 5 minutes of Richie being at his best, you can show them him standing up and rubbing his nipples with excitement.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one of my favourite bits.
The suntan lotion gags are quite good. The wind smear drizzle oil, that stuff.
Yeah. Strong writing.
Yeah. I love that bit. Rick and Aid writing it. We're so confident in the characters and the way we play the characters that what we'll have is you just kind of doing your Richie noises or going yes. If you had another sitcom script and you showed that to the commissioners or whatever, they go, sorry, I don't quite get this. In this one, Rick and Aid have the ability to go, trust us, we know what we're doing with this, we know the characters. Richie leaps up, grabs his nipples, and then his hands roam down towards his crotch. What? I don't get this. Wait till he does it. You'll see it on the day.
A lot of times there seems to be a more exciting episode that we've missed from some of the things they've told you, or at least a higher budget, with a whole hotel that explodes, for example.
Yes. Isn't that Richie, a great little setup and punchline, that click, click, click.
Which so it does.
Rick actually looks at Aid's fingers as well, like as he's repicturing it. Honestly, I love that entire little setup. That's one of my standout moments.
Yeah, but they're very flippant again about murder or manslaughter at the very minimum. It's Dr. Wildthroat who gave him rabies.
That's a great name, Dr. Wildthroat.
That's quite a Richie character thing where it's like, well, yeah, he did give me rabies, but it was only £3. It's like it's just the bargain's what attracts him, not it's a service he doesn't want, but because it's only £3,
I may have been conned, but I'm not going to acknowledge that. I'm going to try and look on the positive side. But Dr. Wildthroat, of course, is the person they go to for tetanus jabs. Why? Because British beaches at this time, especially in the 90s, were so fucking horrible that you probably would get tetanus if you went there.
The syringes on the beach.
Yeah.
The comment on what you would need to go on a seaside holiday in Britain in the 90s is why it's so great. Because it's Richie looking back on his childhood, and he actually does say, it's not like it was in my childhood.
Yeah.
So it's that still wanting to capture an excitement of something that was shit even when he went away when he was little. Because even it's in Sup, isn't it, where he says a quick dip in the brine, dig up a lugworm and back in the car before you catch pneumonia. So you can only imagine that's Rick and Aid drawing on some sort of genuine experiences they had as children.
Now, the continuity has never been a strong point with Richie and Eddie. He's got a mention of his mum here in this, where he's like, I don't want mum to find out if I buy Johnny's. Has he ever said his mum's died or something? We've established he's raised by his auntie.
He said, I wonder whatever happened to my mum, doesn't he, before he's going to bed. That's the only mention he's ever had of his mum, I think. Yeah. So really? I suppose it could be that she's later on in life dumped him with his auntie.
Maybe. Imagine dumping a 30-year-old.
None of it makes sense. The World War II introduction of him being a wartime romance
spy, some sort of German Nazi spy.
But also, some of the gag there is kind of missed by the audience. Like, he does a line and then he does the sort of Nazi salute, not the arm up Nazi salute, but like the small hand up. It just kind of gets lost, doesn't it?
There are a few jokes that fall flat, like big time. I don't know if that's the direction or...
When he comes down the stairs and lands at the bottom, usually that would be Richie's crashed down the stairs.
It was awkward silence. It was odd.
I wonder whether it's the second time they filmed it or something.
Maybe. But also, because the stairs they had, so they didn't have a full set of stairs, so all that he has is like the last two to come down. So therefore, it's not visually a very satisfying gag. And the reason I know they only had a few sets of stairs, in the rewatch I did, when after Eddie's had his legs cut off and he's going, ow, ow, which I'd never seen before. Through the door, you can see Rick going up the stairs and then stopping because he can't go any further.
Oh, really?
Okay.
And I looked at it and thought, that's probably why they cut this bit, because you can see that Rick has had to... He sort of stopped and leaned forward, but his feet are very visible. So again, like the set is just... It's not the same set they had before.
I did like the Johnny stuff as a kind of an introduction to Bottom. If you imagine that's your first time watching it sums up the character quite well. It's just a little throwaway thing of him literally blowing dust off the Johnnies. Quite good. They do say like, we've only overbought Johnnies once.
Yeah.
The first episode of Bottom, you literally see them buying Johnnies. Yet another continuity error.
But it's a very Richie and Eddie thing it's a very Richie thing that he would travel all the way to Birmingham to buy them because he doesn't want to be embarrassed going into the chemist nearby.
It's such an odd thing, isn't it? Well, it's a childish thing. Like, oh my God, I can't imagine. Can you imagine me buying condoms? Oh my God, that'd be so embarrassing. Where really, it's like, it's acknowledging you're getting some, isn't it? So it's like, I need these. So you should be proud of it, really, as a kid. But you're not. I don't know
embarrassing.
Why. It's so embarrassing. Mortifying,
He doesn't want his mum to find out. But also, I think you used to have to ask, didn't you, in the chemist for condoms?
Oh,
they weren't
behind
just out.
The counter, yeah. Okay.
Oh, right.
They weren't just out for you to pick up and then go and pay for.
And a packet of Johnnies.
You had to ask.
Not them ones, the smaller size.
Just to add to the embarrassment.
Down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, Richie, probably.
Yeah.
No, you know what? Just give me the ones for fingers.
Who on earth would book a holiday that leaves that night?
Oh, well, it's last minute deal.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, quite. And doesn't it leave at midnight?
For $4,000 though, probably not.
I'm assuming it's an overnight coach or something like that stops at various places on the way there.
It's leaving from Hammersmith bus station, isn't it?
Wouldn't that be a good episode? Them on the coach and Richie just being excited. I think the episode would be better.
An episode set entirely on a coach, maybe with a couple of supporting characters at the front of the coach who comes to the back every now and then or something.
Yeah, Spud Gun and Hedgehog are on there as well for some reason. Ethel Cardew can pop up.
Yeah.
They definitely do like the idea of the seaside town and the British crap hotel, don't they? Because, of course, they go on to do it in Guest House parodies.
Yeah,
so.
and it's referenced in the live shows as well, isn't it? They make references to the hotel we stayed in Scarborough and stuff like that.
And then, as you say, later in this very series, they nick the honeymoon, don't they? From
Yeah.
Who is it that they nick it from? I forgot his name.
Cannonball Taffy Jones.
Yeah.
The Welsh fella.
There's a few Eddie bits to camera in this one, isn't there? Like he does his Eddie breaking the fourth wall when he's talking about his fiendish plan, but then during the Cher phone call bit as well.
That's odd. It's not only is it Cher, it's an odd choice as well, because normally they go for someone a bit obscure, but that's quite famous, right? Not only is she not on the phone, it's not even plugged in. That's how much she's not on the phone.
Yeah.
Why is the phone unplugged?
To the live show one, that isn't it? Is little kind of like, ooh, I'm having a bit of a moment.
That's a bit of luck. I don't know who the fuck I called.
Yeah. But you're right, it doesn't go anywhere, that. But then you can only assume that he has genuinely called whoever the showgirl is at some point.
At some point.
Right.
Has he actually contacted her? Or has she been in the fridge the whole time?
No, she's not. Because I thought she was in the fridge the whole time until watching this episode. But Richie goes into the fridge. He looks in, says, behind that blancmange. He goes in, gets the milk. She must go in when Richie runs to get Eddie from the pub. He leaves the house and then no one looks in the fridge at that point. So she's broken in or been hiding in Eddie's bedroom or something.
He's brought her back with him.
Now, Richie's swoon trunks, I think, is quite a strong bit.
Rick plays it really well, but Aid has a great bit of physical comedy with the don't look at it, look away, that whole bit. Yeah. Really, really good from Aid.
The tiny, tiny, tiny elastic band that then
There's two ties together. One I want to say as well, it's completely overlooked and dismissed. It's not a joke, but his dressing gown, it's quite stylish, isn't it? But he's lost the belt. It's like it looks like the cord from the curtains essentially tied around it.
You wouldn't be surprised if you nicked it.
I think it literally is that.
They do the thing of like Eddie pulls it away, pulls it, and it snaps back. They really pulled their punches on the sound effect they used for the snap. The snap you get doesn't feel like a loud, powerful,
painful
sound
effect.
Snap,
is the hammer going in first. That with squelch noise. We've heard that before.
Yeah.
That stretch of the elastic, which they do again in Bottom Line 4, you can see there's a lot of give, and it's not anywhere near as taut as AD is trying to sell.
Yeah.
You can see it wobble and stuff. So I mean, look, I know it's not real. You can see how it's done, but AD does a good job selling it with what they.
And as usual, Rick's faces sell it, don't they?
I mean, the blowtorch.
He's got a blowtorch ready to go in the living room. It's quite odd.
Blowtorch is a great idea, and obviously for safety's sake, they swapped in a pair of very obvious fake plastic legs for Rick. Did you spot?
I didn't notice that
I didn't spot that.
Right, the moment he goes under the dressing gown, both fake plastic legs,
white and shiny,
because like those things get fucking hot. Also, you're going under something that's flammable, so presumably they said we'll err on the side of caution for this one.
Do you think Rick said that?
I could bring that blowtorch anywhere near my cock and balls. No way.
A lot of that dialogue, him on the beach and indecent exposure and all that stuff, that's from a deleted scene in Digger, isn't it?
Yeah, it's at the top of the episode in Digger. Yeah.
Which shows they're reusing old material. They're sort of, presumably, I don't want to say struggling with the Series 3 stuff, but the fact that it's got reused.
Well, it got cut out, didn't it? So maybe they didn't want to waste it, because it is quite good.
Yeah, but then you have to ask why.
I think they might have based the episode around that stuff that they had, already.
But then you have to ask why they cut it from that other episode. Did they cut it for runtime, or did they cut it because they think it wasn't up to the quality of the
shot it,
material?
didn't they? So I would imagine it was runtime.
I think it was runtime because it takes it over by a good sort of 3 or 4 minutes.
Did you notice on the bookshelf, and it disappears later on when Rick runs through it?
The BAFTA.
A BAFTA is on the fucking bookshelf.
So random.
Yeah.
What?
In one shot, I was like, that's a fucking BAFTA.
It's there in a couple of the shots, and then not there again.
I noticed a trophy by the window.
Right.
No, I noticed that. That's almost like a school trophy or something, isn't it? There's a BAFTA on the shelf next to the white statue of the woman that he bashes him with later on.
Yeah.
And the BAFTA pops up. No. So that's what's really odd. Whose BAFTA is it?
No.
Did French and Saunders win one?
They won British Comedy. They won British Comedy Awards because there's one where Ed Bye went and collected it on behalf of them. But I don't think they ever won a BAFTA.
The British Comedy Award are the two jokers in a sheet of perspex.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, the BAFTA's there plain to see. Behind it's when Eddie's having his legs sort of like chopped off again and sewed on again, and then it's there behind them in another bit. But it's really weird. It's there and then it disappears. So you almost wonder whether it was Rick and Eddie who put it there, or whether it would be one of the crew having a laugh.
Yeah.
Where'd they get that from? Maybe it's trying to hint like their weakest episode. Well, BAFTA.
Why has this show not won one?
We get Richie's book collection again.
Yeah.
Joyous Sex, more Joyous Sex.
We see a bookshelf back on the wall that has not been used since the pilot episode.
Front wall.
Because on the rewatch, before the book came into view, you saw it briefly, and for a moment I thought, oh, there's a bit of lighting equipment in shot, and then it carries on. It's like, oh, it's the book. Oh yeah, okay.
The Luftwaffe Air Force exercises.
Yeah. It does lead to a great bit of physical comedy from them with the kind of and 1, 2, 3 and go. No one moves.
Yeah, that's good. And then there's your sit-ups. That's the exact same gag.
Yeah.
That annoys me. That's fucking lazy. It doesn't add anything than doing it again right after. I do like that any time we get any sort of backstory with the two of them, it's it's interchangeable, it's different every fucking episode, but the story that he tells of his mum and dad, it's such a non-weird, odd story, but he sells it with such like a happy, smile, romantic idea. He's got it in his head that it's romantic and that it should be romantic, I suppose.
Don't you think it's just a lie? It's another one of Richie's complete and utter lies. It's really odd. Isn't it? Because Eddie actually says, well, it's all a load of bollocks. And he says, it's all a load of bollocks.
There's a little bit of evidence, isn't there? There's the book that's signed to him from Adolf.
You sort of wonder whether that is Richie's dad. I think, if anything, his mum doesn't know who Richie's dad is, and he made this.
Possibly.
She made it up for Richie to have a backstory because it would make him, I think, 50 or 56 or something.
Right.
Between those ages in the 90s when this was filmed.
When he talks about his dad, he mentions Oswald Richard, doesn't he? Sorry, that's when he does the salute.
Yeah.
And that gets missed by the audience because that is obviously, I think, a reference to Oswald Mosley, who was a famous British right-wing guy. He was like one of the people who wanted to appease Hitler. The idea there is that Richie's dad, at least, was a sort of Nazi sympathiser.
Well, thank you for all your fine work.
Yeah.
And why is he read it? So it's written in English and he just reads it out in a German
words.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I'm never a fan of the bad puns. I know you guys sometimes like them, but things like...
Whoa.
No,
There's no such thing as a bad pun.
Moved in mysterious circles where they had one leg shorter than the
I love
other.
that.
No,
that
sorry.
Is classic.
I can't let that pass, I'm afraid.
The audience laugh at that bit.
There's a joke
There's
a joke I think it's not too bad, but it gets nothing when it's saying, we tried combining food. Like, what with? Lager? Or the telly? Combining food with the telly, I thought was quite funny.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. And then they go into more trouserial humour later on.
Like liposuction again now. What does Richie think liposuction is? Do you think some fats could be sucked through his skin?
I think that's what he thinks.
Of course he's an idiot, yeah. It's been established now that he's not wearing underwear.
Yeah.
And he just opens up his dressing gown to Eddie. They're like, all right, use the hoover on me. And Eddie doesn't react at all, despite getting a full frontal...
I suppose he's already seen it.
Yeah, but he should have reacted or something, or winced, or like not where he just looks normally.
Well, he probably can't see the cock anyway through all the folds, right?
Anyway,
who knows?
What's odd is that Richie has always eternally been hankering for a much longer penis, and now he's finally achieved it, and he's desperate to stop it.
Yeah, and so the other thing I found really odd as a kid, so it gets his knob sucked up, and it's like, I'm nearly at the bag. Put it on blow, and then it's like, you dirty. Like that. He's already getting it sucked.
Yeah.
It's not dirty to put it on blow.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was weird as a kid, that it was called a blow job, not a suck job.
Yeah. That Hoover sequence is one of the ones that it was very noticeable that it just faded to black with no musical sting or anything. But whilst they were still at it, it was one of the bits that made me wonder if more happened after that. They shot a conclusion to it, didn't work, cut it.
Maybe.
Because we literally fade out whilst they're still going, don't we?
Yeah, because they don't know how to end it, I suppose. Cause it's similar, really, to the thong, in terms of, there's a little bit of like, physical comedy peril, and then obviously the suction noise sells it, I think.
Yeah,
kind of squelching.
It's a good squelch.
But it makes me think of the liposuction scene in AbFab, actually. She literally gets sucked, like all of her lower body gets sucked away. And I remember it disturbing me when I first watched it, when I must have been, about like 11 or whatever I was.
Do you think any of the bottom sound effects have popped up in other shows?
What, at the BBC? I'd say
anything.
I'd say so.
Maybe.
Similar sound effect.
Electricity
would be used.
There are some really noticeable ones, like the squelch that we talked about there, but also the squelch where he puts the hammer in. That's a very distinctive bottom one. And the creak of the chest of drawers across the carpet, that's a very distinctive bottom one as well.
Yeah, would they film or record their own sounds to be used again?
The BBC has a large archive of sound effects, but I don't know, maybe if something is so recognisably from something, they might go, leave that alone, people might recognise it. Like, you might find like there's a BBC sound engineer who works on another show who is a big bottom fan who goes, I'm going to do what a lot of people have done with the Wilhelm scream and put it in and see if people notice it.
That would be fun to do.
That would.
But maybe there's just not that many other BBC shows that involve like squelching and snapping penis sounds and dogs barking and.
I mean, like in terms of cartoonish,
dog's bark I'd recognise.
In terms of like the cartoonish violence, there has not been anything like it on British television. I think since Bottom, nothing is even in the same sort of ballpark in terms of the action and the violence and the physicality.
Maybe it's a thing of like, you can't, how could you top that? So why bother? Now, do you think it's a bit weird? There's a story of Eddie doing something that sounds like it's what Richie would do, with him super gluing himself to
the window of the gym.
Story. Yeah, and also thinking the mentality for doing that, like he's obviously been dragged away once. Like, no, I'll show them, and then so presumably he's there. They see him, call security. He's like, well, I'm staying. He's getting dragged away while still laughing. I'm still there. While the women's still exercising while that's happening, wouldn't they just leave?
Are they still exercising, or have they stopped in horror and grabbed towels and are covering themselves?
Yeah.
But you're right.
Well, they're exercising in the gym. They might not be aware of what's happening outside.
Well, then why would
I wouldn't ever exercise in a gym that's got windows?
Yeah, and that is kind of symptomatic of what we've talked about before. Of
they're like similar.
The two characters just becoming very similar versions of each other. You could take an action from one or dialogue from one and give it to the other. It doesn't feel alien anymore because the characters aren't as distinctly different as they used to be.
Sure. And Eddie always dished out more than he received in the first two series. In this series, he gets a few horrific injuries. Like this one, I think the legs being chopped off is the strongest, most violent thing that happens in the show, arguably.
Slitting his wrists and terror was
that's pretty bad.
Violent as well. But this is the first with like a chainsaw and the comedy actually the legs with the look like lumps of meat at the top of the boots.
I've got I like and dislike that. It's something that doesn't feel quite right about it, but I do like him dropping to the floor.
I do love how they sell it. I think the drop to the floor it's reminiscent of Monty Python and Black Knight.
I think for me, the moment he cuts his legs off, it's where Series 3 Bottom is so markedly different from Series 1 and 2.
Moment,
like they usually acknowledge pain and injury, but now we are definitely in a cartoon where legs can be cut off and sewn back on.
Why is there no blood? Well, there's a bit of blood on the stumps, but why there would be spraying across the room?
They've always sold it quite in a realistic way. They've either chopped off a finger or...
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Monty Python Knights cutting off the leg bit, because in that, when John Cleese is then on the ground, he's very obviously just stood in a hole in the ground. And with this episode of Bottom, when Eddie, his legs have been cut off, you can see Ade's feet poking out through the fabric of the sofa.
Well, they kind of folded in, like they're sewed into the like the fake chair. It's you can see how it's done. At a glance, when you're watching it the first time, you talk.
So in the past, when Richie breaks his leg, you can see,
that was bad.
You can see Rick's
See, like the
actual leg
cardboard
up behind him.
You can see the contraption that he's on that has wheels and stuff. Coincidental that you mentioned Monty Python, because does anyone think that the Mormon at the door is very Michael Palin-esque?
He is a little bit polite, isn't he?
He's polite, smiley, but he's also a bit of a lookalike of him as well.
Oh, you think?
I think so.
Some of the bone structure, I suppose.
It comes out of nowhere as well. I suppose it just needed something to happen for Richie to have the time to recover. That's the kind of thing they could have in their back pocket
It's
at any
weirdly
point.
just a repeat of the domestic violence collector, though, isn't it? The charity work.
It's very similar. Very similar.
From Digger.
Yeah.
With less humorous dialogue, just straight into the violence.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like it as a bit. I do like it as a little sort of like bit in the episode.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's a bit of a repetition of something they've done before.
Sure.
And with that, I think it's time for a word from our sponsors.
This month, Cosmopolitan comes face to face with the real David Bowie and spotlights the brilliant fashions that will light up your summer nights. We get to the heart of sexual jealousy and give you a chance to win this fabulous Nissan Pulsar. December Cosmopolitan wraps up dozens of dazzling Christmas gift ideas and shows you ways to keep your sex life sizzling. December Cosmopolitan, out and about now.
Bit of a slight callback. This is maybe pushing it, but the pulley system they use for the fridge, you think that's the same pulley system that they used to put Eddie to bed?
Maybe. Well, they've tied bicycle handles to the end of it this time.
Yeah.
Might be the same rope, mightn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does appear from all of a sudden the fridge is in the middle of the room with a pulley system around it.
How's he moved it?
How did he move it in the first
if he
place?
can't lift it up. Yeah, I know.
Right.
Well, you know, it's the cartoon aspect.
Eddie's had to move it to put the picture under there, hasn't he? So there's a few things here that doesn't quite make sense, but when you know that Eddie's actually winding him up and having him on, it does make sense.
Because when Eddie says, "Oh, I think I can spot," he clearly can't spot a single thing under that fridge.
He literally says, "You've lifted it less than an inch off the ground," and from the other side of the room. Hang on, what's that? It's not. Why on earth would it be that? And that's such an obscure reference. Like Des Lynam, what a weird choice.
It's a weird thing for them to want to see his todger. I suppose they just thought at the time in the 90s it would be quite funny because he was very prevalent on all the sports shows, wasn't he?
And then why is it such a? They're both very gay there, don't they? And then what would this?
They want to see his cock.
His hammerhead. It sounds like he's got a weird misshapen bell end or something. They call him the anchor man.
Is it just that it's massive? I don't know. Why would it be a hammerhead?
No, they mentioned the anchor. They sort of gesture that it's wider at the end. Or something.
And maybe as it's Des Lynam, it would have a large grey moustache like pubes, a load of pubes above it.
It's quite a comedy image when you think about it.
We briefly go to Richie's bedroom for him packing. I do like the detail of him literally taking a sink with him. You know, like it's that gag about taking the kitchen
everything
sink.
about the kitchen sink, yeah.
But there were bits in there that I thought, I don't remember this from the first time.
The Monopoly money, I don't remember,
Yeah, I remember him taking the wallpaper off the wall. But then there's, I'll take Monopoly money because northern people won't know the difference.
Oh, that's interesting. That's not on the Netflix.
Right, okay. Yeah.
And
then,
is it in fluff, that?
And then, shorts and coconut husks. He takes coconut husks with him as well.
He says, beads, I need beads.
Yeah.
And then, no, I won't, I'll take Monopoly money instead. What were the beads? Is that a Mardi Gras reference?
Oh, no, I think that's to like barter with, to trade,
beads.
you know,
use that as currency.
Yeah, like, you know, primitive cultures would trade with these.
I love the idea of like wallpaper. What if they don't have wallpaper? What if you got there? What if he hadn't packed wallpaper and there wasn't wallpaper? What would he have? Oh no, there's no wallpaper. So what's going through that guy's mind?
What do you think he says after they are in the north? They might have put it in some hot pot or used it to make.
Oh God, I can't remember. I can't
bread
remember.
And dripping or
because when I watched it with the subtitles, because I was like, you can't. It's like the sound you just can't quite hear what Rick says, and it says that it's clogs.
Yes, he does say clogs.
Clogs, yeah.
Say clogs. Yes,
but that just seems
make
really
it clogs. It's just
odd.
It's
just old shoes. Is that just the joke?
I suppose so.
Because I get the hot pot reference for Northerners.
Yeah.
I was like, is it famous for clogs in the north?
No, it's purposely wrong. I think it's what the gag
just
is.
Richie.
I do like the little detail of the water spurting from the sink
I like
as he
that.
tears it out. The sink comes out pretty easy. It's a little bit of give.
But at least there's a bit of effort with the art department made there for that one, you know.
Now, why has he got a sink in his bedroom?
We've mentioned that in a couple of the other ones. I think it wasn't there previously. Quite a few people used to have sinks in their bedrooms. I used to.
You have an ensuite bathroom sometimes, but not a sink in your bedroom.
Yeah, just a sink in the corner of the bedroom. That's how my old house, literally every bedroom, when we first moved in, had a sink in it.
My room in halls in uni had a sink in it, which obviously
slightly different.
Yeah, but which obviously for all the guys meant it was just like
where you could piss.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Anyway, so he packs the bedroom sink.
Yeah.
On the Netflix one, it's just literally the wallpaper, the sink,
and that's what I remember.
The crotchless underwear, which is a great gag. It's just like a child's vest.
It's a vest. It's clearly a vest.
It's a vest, like inverted, basically, turned upside down. Yeah,
that's what I used for my Richie costume when the first time I met Angela.
But you had crotchless underwear on. I just saw that.
Well, yeah, basically, I just was wearing a vest as pants, so I just to pull it up around.
You didn't actually go full Y fronts.
No, I didn't buy anything for it. What's the point?
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, well,
I'm glad you didn't win the competition.
Well. He picks up all those weird old-fashioned clammy suitcases. They look kind of grimy, but not grimy enough for a joke or something. I don't know. There's something. It's a nice gag that he's got one suitcase for every day.
Yeah, it's like a sort of family set from the 50s or something, isn't it? You know, but falls down the stairs to no laughter at all.
To no laughter at all. We've already said that, which is that's something happened behind the scenes there, I think, because that's bizarre.
It's got to have been, hasn't it? Because it is funny, that bit. Now, but maybe it's just a repeat of other stuff.
We've seen him fall downstairs before.
But then you see him fall downstairs in Carnival, and it's the funniest fall downstairs you've ever seen of Richie later this series.
Because so when he comes down the stairs in Carnival and when he comes down the stairs in a wheelchair, in both those instances, you see it from the top. And I know there's an edit in there, but you see it go from the top.
Just kind of
this one, all you see is the last bit. So there's no sense of jeopardy or sense of injury from it.
You can see it coming a mile off as well. You can hear it coming a mile off. But I like the fact that he's calling for help from Eddie. Who would probably be bleeding to death with his legs off on the floor.
Yeah. Can you
help me from this? Like, you've just cut my legs off. No, I can't help you.
Can you drag yourself up the stairs like Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump?
Yeah. Typical wife wanting the help from the top of the stairs when the husband's already had his legs off.
There's another joke that falls really flat. That it sounds like a really classic bottom joke when Eddie's describing where the Des Lynam picture came from. It's like from a all-night paracetamol
Malibu and paracetamol all-nighter. Yeah,
so you missed it because your auntie's poodle's circumcision bash.
Yeah.
You remember? No? To nothing.
Yeah.
Bizarre thing that he said there, isn't it? Your auntie's poodle's circumcision. Like, do dogs get circumcised? Do they even have foreskins?
I think this dialogue's extra.
Yeah?
This wasn't in the episode earlier when I watched it.
This bit I do remember, but I've also... This line features in Bottom Fluff somewhere. A tries to say the line and you can see Rick is like corpsing and A's like, don't fucking smile when I'm doing this or something.
Maybe.
But that whole line, for one thing, Aid makes a bit of a mouthful of it because it's a very clunky line. But as you say, he does it. Obviously, the joke is like, "Oh, you were at this thing. Don't you remember?" No, well, probably because it didn't happen then.
Yeah.
But again, it just passes by the audience.
Yes, absolutely. It's something I can't put my finger on. There's something that's kind of an odd vibe on that day or something. Maybe someone had an argument.
Well, to talk about the audience in this episode, when it ends, there's a moment of no applause, and then it's like someone there has to go, it's ended, everyone start clapping. If you rewatch it, you notice the show ends, there's a moment too long of silence, as though they're wondering, has it ended? Should we applaud? Does it deserve applause? You know?
All right, sack the floor manager. Should have been at the side. The claps.
Now, to say something positive about it, the gag of running through the shelves.
The bit when he runs on the treadmill through the window first. I thought that's what you were going to say, because I think that looks shit.
Well, it's because we don't see him go through it. Not really.
That bit looks okay. His run with his very camp swaying arm things is quite funny. But then when I love the line, I'll take it up to a steady 70. Kind of funny. And then there's a lot of sound effects, and then Richie's very clearly like sort of hopping on the spot, not running fast.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sound and stuff, and he's got a really frantic face on. He's really trying to sell it, but I think they should have maybe had a tight on him, not seen his legs, because then it's a tight of him running forward and going for the window. That does work.
Where we see the curtain shake.
Wobble.
Yeah. The brick wall opposite is very clearly a fabric curtain, and it shimmies because he hits it. It moves.
You mean
what's meant to be the building opposite?
The running through the set of shelves, I think is a nicely attempted gag. I do think the whole setup of it is a bit cheap. When you consider this is the show that had them dropping a piano down through a ceiling with all the dust and stuff like that, Richie crashing through the toilet door from, when he's on a wheelchair and stuff like that.
Like that brown paper, toilet paper you got in school.
It looks like parcel paper, wrapping paper.
I think it is.
Yeah.
It definitely looks like parcel paper with some sellotape.
I do remember when I first watched that, the first time I saw it, laughing at that gag. It's a good gag, but it's just the set. It's just a bit cheap.
I think there's one bit that's kind of missed and thrown away when Eddie's then dragged in drunk. And he threw that hole, and he's just sort of like, huh? Where's this new doorway come from? We've missed him sewing his legs back on, being the other way around, then having to cut it off again.
Yeah.
Him cutting it off, Richie cutting them off again, is another bit where that should be getting a bit of reaction from the audience. And it's all just silence. It just seems so awkward.
Maybe it just wasn't playing. I mean, in the way that when we watch it, it doesn't quite play. Maybe that's part of it because of how it did actually play in the.
I'm fully prepared to acknowledge that there are probably people for whom this is their favourite episode and they think it's amazing.
Lots of people love the wind smear, drizzle oil.
But again,
does it make a favourite episode? A good line does not make a favourite episode.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily make 10 great lines or great moments within the episode, but overall, the episode doesn't become more than the sum of its parts. Most bottom episodes do.
I think some people would say Eddie having his legs cut off was one of their favourite moments. I think some people would really like that, sure.
Yeah, it's a visually satisfying, cartoonish gag. Now, this episode has so many violent moments within it. It's almost as if they thought, right, let's it's going to be quite dull in terms of where we are. We're going to be all in the flat. Yeah. So let's make it as visually interesting as possible. We're going to throw you through a window. We're going to have you on a motorbike on a treadmill, and then we're going to be lifting the fridge with with the bar. They're literally building all of these really out there kind of like moments that wouldn't happen in everyday life.
But all of those bits, if you put them down on paper and said we've got a bottom episode with all of these bits, you'd think, fuck me, that's going to be brilliant. And yet somehow it doesn't translate. And they have these moments of violence, yet in some instances they don't even pick the right camera angle for it. The final kick in the bollocks, Eddie to Richie, where we freeze frame, they are behind Eddie, so we can see that his foot is going over Rick's bollocks. But it's absolutely the wrong angle to sell that move.
The freeze frame.
And that's the end shot.
It's a nice moment with the first time that it's acknowledged that Eddie only owns one set of clothes. We've said it about Richie before.
It's actually quite sad, isn't it, when he says, I'm wearing all that I need. In fact, I'm wearing all that I have.
Yeah. But it's nice that Eddie, who eternally just takes from Richie, assumes, well, if I can't wear mine, I'll obviously just take yours.
He winds him up about having a fat ass and being too big, so would it fit him in their reality?
Yeah. Could you imagine Eddie wearing blue jeans? No. I don't think I could picture that.
Yes, you can picture that. Think about it.
Eddie wearing them, not Aid, but Eddie.
Eddie.
When does Eddie wear blue jeans?
Not really does he wear them, but there's a picture.
So no is the answer.
Well, okay, there's a picture of him.
You mean Aid rehearsing?
Well, yeah, I guess it's rehearsing. There's a picture of.
You mean Aid Edmondson's worn blue jeans?
There's a picture of Rick and Aid.
This is an exclusive.
There's a picture of Rick and Aid for the pilot episode. Yeah. A contest with Eddie in civvies, essentially, not in a suit, and he just did something weird about it. It must have been in the dress rehearsal or something.
Jeans and like a check shirt, isn't it?
Yeah. It just looks so weird.
But, so he's in his own clothes, but Rick's in costume in that picture.
Yeah, so
that's why it's odd.
That to me, so I think they might be trying out costumes or something. I don't know if it's a dress rehearsal or not. There's a joke that it's so Richie, and it doesn't make any sense. Okay, now we need to look at the time, look at the clock, and not move anything, so let's make this as fucking painful and boring as possible. Have I remembered everything? Oh, milk!
Yeah.
Like, what? And then when he said that first time, what's he talking about? And then just goes in, oh, phew.
But
he's being
going to go off.
Panicked mother and all the things you've got to do when you've packed.
There's
an
off bottle of milk right at the beginning, actually, where it's like fully separated. You sort of see like the clear side of it. So it's quite a good manky
Which is why you wonder why Richie would be bothered about the milk going off in the fridge when clearly they let everything else they own in there go off.
Anyone who walks past that flat is in danger of having food thrown at them or something. I love it. Another good line. No wonder people make programmes like The Bill to take the piss out of you. What?
It's fantastic.
What are you on about?
They take the piss out of the Bill in the live show as well, don't they?
The
Well,
Bill,
isn't it like I could watch a whole episode of the Bill without vomiting blood?
that gag gets used on the Bill. It also gets used on From May to December, doesn't it?
Yeah.
At one point.
Just basically crap TV.
Eddie stands up for the first time after having his legs sewn back on and he's all wobbly stuff. That's very good.
Yeah.
Do not see that coming.
Aid sells that well.
It's a nice silly thing. Him taking his darts is old fashioned, isn't it? That's a weird thing.
Down
no
the
one does
pub.
that anymore. That's you going down the pub. It's
That was like our parents' generation thing, wasn't it? Going down the pub, got my own flights that I have on my own darts. So, yeah.
The fact that Richie then doesn't pick up on that.
And now he's gone
you're
for
going to the pub then.
Good 3 hours. Like, oh well, it didn't take me that long.
I have to say, I do love Richie's building panic and mania that we have seen before, and interestingly can actually tell the time in this episode.
Yes, and he does. There's no
7 hours is the correct number.
No, he can't tell the time, but he does the maths because he says, "What time is it?" And he tells him the time, but then he figures out, yes, it's 7 hours.
But usually they can't.
Well, that would be 18 hours, something silly, yeah.
Also, his sense of rising hysteria is aided visually in no small way by Rick's excessive sweating through the episode. Really, it's pouring off him like buckets, isn't it?
You can say that about most episodes, to be fair, but
yeah.
This never dawned on me until watching this one. Richie panicking about how long does it take to get to the bus stop, and that's what Eddie goes first. And it shouldn't take 3.5 hours. Let me do it. He runs, then comes back. 12.5 minutes. No, it's not to get there and back. It's to get there.
Right. Yeah. So actually, it was 6 minutes.
Yeah. Well, he's an idiot. That's the
6 minutes,
joke.
15 seconds.
I was rounding down.
Now, why did Eddie leave a note saying, "I'm in the pub with the holiday money. Run, run, run"? Does he want him to come and get him?
I think that's like, you'll never get here in time. I'm going to spend all the holiday cash. Good luck. By the time you read this, it will be too late. I will have spent it.
Okay, but he's planning on nicking the holiday and fucking off. So why would he do that? It's like
this is it. I think it's to entice Richie out of the flat
to get the star
girl. It must be
in there because she needs to be in the fridge for the plan to work.
Because he sobers up very, very quickly, doesn't he? Once Richie's
it makes
under the
sense
fridge.
that he's not actually drunk.
So has he come because he's so over the top drinking and all that is great. Like I love all of those bits of Aid falling over, drawing the curtain down and everything. But is he actually play acting?
I don't know. But
possibly.
Another great gag again that kind of gets missed by the audience is "You're grounded." Like, yeah, I know. Like as he's there on the floor.
That's silly.
Doesn't get the appreciation it deserves.
Now, do you think that Bob Spears was a Christian? Because Series 3 has 2 examples of God proving he's real.
Oh, right,
this one, Richie prays, give me strength, and then gives him super strength, and then he crosses his finger. Not really. It's like, well, you've just had God prove to you. You've just literally experienced the miracle. Why were you crossing your fingers?
Why are you
should be, oh my God, wow.
To quote...
But then again, why would it be Bob Spears that's the Christian to... why would that be the influence, though? Because they've done a lot of stuff about God.
Well, because God appears in Hole as well.
Yeah.
But there's no
they've done Holy in the past, and they've done Apocalypse where he prays to God. But Rick and Aid have written it, haven't they? So it wouldn't be Bob Spears unless they're trying to...
Generally good advice is if you get manifest evidence of the existence of God, don't instantly then turn on him and reveal to him that actually you're not going to stick to the deal you just made.
What was his deal? Believe in you forever and ever or something, isn't it? Well, we should believe in you.
No, I'm not going to believe in you.
Now that you proved you're real, I'm going to believe in you. Who is this mad woman, as Eddie's bird, as he said, that looking forward to Bridlington, hanging out with Eddie and hiding in the fridge for hours?
You almost wonder whether it's a dreamlike sequence, really, don't you? Because why would she be?
Yeah.
I
dressed as a showgirl.
Overly common voice as well, isn't she?
She's brummy, isn't she?
Let's just head down to the bus station with you dressed as a showgirl, and we'll get on the bus with you dressed as a showgirl.
Yeah. I mean,
with
Fox
no luggage,
just proved himself to be real. Maybe Eddie's hallucinating.
Yeah.
Possibly. Now,
right, I've never thought of that.
Maybe he is. It's just occurred to me.
And he's not sobered up.
Yeah.
He is.
He just sees Richie under the fridge.
And Richie doesn't see that happen, does he? He's under the fridge.
The showgirl, have I seen her in something before? She was vaguely familiar.
I looked her up.
Yeah.
I don't know this off the top of my head, but she is Joanne Stockham, and she was in Wire in the Blood. I can't say that I would have recognised her in anything else that she was listed in.
Okay.
That was 2002. But she's probably been in other stuff.
Okay, so, guys, because there is always some good to be found in these things, what are our highlights?
It's the wind smear stuff, but when Richie's getting overexcited with his contribution for it, he's he's like borderline insane. And I really like the noise when the milk gets thrown out. Yeah.
That's a really good impression of it. Yeah. Ange, how about you?
Ex-landlady and the build up to the click, 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 boom. I think that's a joyous little bit of writing. Rick really does sell the thong when he first enters the room.
Yeah.
I think if you talk about, brilliant performances from Rick, how he's selling, how much it's difficult for him to cope with that is a standout moment. It is really tricky because there's so many other just little bits of dialogue that I do enjoy, but it's quite hard to get some real standout moments in this one because what should be brilliant, like him going through the window or any of those kind of violent moments and the fridge going on his head, they fall a bit flat, don't they?
Actually, I've got another one. I guess it's a slight payoff. You finally see Eddie's motorbike.
You've been obsessed about his motorbike.
You hear it mentioned a couple of times, don't you? He's been called Chopper Hitler before. He talks about his new motorbike in Gone Whole.
Called Chopper because of his penis, in my opinion.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But when you see the motorbike, it's not a motorbike, it's a moped.
Yeah.
I think that's quite funny. It's not even a motorbike.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And how about you, Paul? What are your standout moments?
For me, it's Rick/Richie's mania. It's the nipple grabbing.
Yeah.
The hands that then roam down to his nether regions.
His eyes.
Yeah, like he just seems so excited. I think the way Richie is going slowly and progressively insane as the holiday approaches, it's like the nearer we get to the bus leaving, the more crazy Richie gets. Both of them really do pull off good performances, but I feel that the material is left slightly wanting in certain places.
It's a shame because the simple plot point is what should work, isn't it? Richie and Eddie are going to go on holiday.
Yeah, it's essentially a two-hander.
It's a very simple plot point, and it just does not quite hit all the right marks.
So without going into too many, any specific niggles that leap out?
There's one that we haven't mentioned that happens when Aid stands up with his legs sewn back on and you see the boom mic.
Oh, really?
For several seconds when he's about to walk out to the pub. So when he's had them sewn back on the right way round.
Oh, right, okay.
He wobbles as he's wobbling towards his darts.
Right.
You can see the boom mic in shot for a couple of seconds, but it's a minor niggle. What about you?
Forgive me if this sounds like a generality, but it's the general messiness of the episode. It feels slightly badly edited. It feels a bit messy. The set looks cheap. The audience is unresponsive.
Yeah.
Scenes continually fade out.
There's a lot of space in this episode as well. Like, it seems like there's less clutter about in the flat. Do you know what I mean? Everything seems a bit bigger and
it's like the flat
empty.
Flat isn't as dressed by the art department as it has been previously.
Was it that dressed in terror, though, actually, thinking about it?
Well, I guess it had some Halloween decorations and stuff.
I think the fact that we've lost the set is what we miss in Series 3, isn't it?
I wonder if we don't notice it as much in Terror because we're outside for a great chunk of the episode, and then when we're back in, there's 4 people in the space rather than 2.
Filling up more. Yeah, look, there has to be one that's weaker than the others. Yeah, I don't hate it by any means. I don't think it's shit, but I definitely think it's the weakest one. Most people, I think, would agree this is the weakest one. I think it stands out as the weakest.
I'm sure we'd have a good debate with someone who absolutely loves it as well. It can draw out different... I absolutely love Contest, and I've had a lot of people tell me that they find that boring. Right. I can't understand that, so there we go. I'm sure there's plenty of people who do like Break.
If you're of the camp for whom the best bottom is cartoonish bottom rather than sort of nihilistic Godot-esque
dialogue
stuff, then this might be the thing for you, maybe. And I respect that. There are a lot of people for whom Series 3 of Bottom was the first one they saw and the thing that got them into it, and then they discovered 1 and 2 off the back of it. And fair play
therefore
to you.
You'll have more affection for the episodes that you first saw. I've had that a lot with other things that I've watched.
Do you think maybe some of it might be that you watched it as a kid and then haven't watched it for like 20 years and you just remember it really fondly?
Maybe. But I will say that even the worst episode of Bottom is better than a lot of the other best episodes of other comedies.
That's it. I don't dislike it. It's that least favourite one, isn't it? Which is bullshit, really, isn't it? It's like I still like it. It's just not my favourite.
If the standard of the others is so high, something isn't going to match them. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it isn't as good as those other things.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, now it's time for the quiz. Have you chosen your fart sounds, boys?
I think I'm going to go with Squeezed Fart.
Let's hear yours, Matt.
Okay, I'm going to go with Airy Fart, which is this one. Right, so it's ready? First to 10 questions about this episode.
It's not the first to 10.
I'll read best out of 10. Sorry, best out of 10.
We don't think we've done a recap on how we do the quiz, have we, for a while?
No, but it's the sort of thing, really.
Does anyone
We're doing a quiz,
Yeah.
and someone, what's that mean? How's that work?
We'll do 10. If there's a need for a tiebreaker question, then we'll do that. But otherwise, it's just whoever gets the most. And we're going to try and be fair and wait until the quizmaster
calls out
says yes, Paul, or yes, Matt.
Because otherwise there'll be fucking murders.
Sure. There is murder.
And, well, it might not be me or you. It might be one of the listeners buzzing in before us.
So...
How will that work?
Question 1. What is the name of the most violent travel agent in the world? Matt. How to hurry you?
Mad... Mayday. It's like, no, fucked it. Yeah, fucked
All right,
it. Paul Mayday. Yeah,
Paul,
go on.
can you
No,
steal?
You know what? I don't think I'm going to get it fully because I don't think I can remember the full first name. So is it Bob McMayday?
Dodgy.
Dodgy.
Beforehand.
Dodgy Bob McMayday.
Fuck's sake.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
I think that's neither of you.
All
Sorry.
right, okay.
Certainly fair enough for me. I didn't get any.
So Dodgy's on his birth certificate, right?
Yeah, it
Okay.
will be. Yeah. What is the full character name that's quoted in the show?
All right, okay, fair enough.
Okay, question number 2. Besides suntan lotion, Richie and Eddie list 4 things they will need for the beach. Name them. I think that was Paul first.
Okay, so condoms.
Ooh, for the beach.
All right, okay, forget that.
Fair enough. All right, no, come on. That's fine.
List.
Okay,
Go through your list.
Full radiation suit.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm not sure what else. Something else to do with nuclear contamination. Oh, fuck, I don't know. Suntan lotion. Well, full radiation suit really is the end
That's
part.
the last bit, yeah. Matt, can you steal?
Okay, I
Is
don't
it
know.
Y fronts was one of them, he says? No? Well, because I thought the question was what sort of the names for suntan lotion, so that's what I was waiting to buzz in on. So I
thought that would be
no
too
idea.
obvious.
No, don't know then. Well,
I don't
go
know.
for it.
Okay, so tetanus jabs, industrial Wellingtons,
Right,
gas masks,
right.
and, well, full radiation suits,
suit,
really.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm annoyed.
Still everything to play for.
I'm annoyed with myself that I didn't remember the tetanus.
Okay, next question. This is question number 3. It was 1977 when Richie bought a pack of condoms from the chemist. How many tubes of pile cream did he buy? That's Matt who's buzzed.
Oh, is it like 98 or something?
That's incorrect.
I'm going to say 17.
Oh, sorry, it's 50.
I like the fact that you're just using pile cream on it. It means they will never have piles. That's not how it works.
No, it's not,
Stops you when you have them, isn't it? Yeah, anyway.
Another victory for the pile cream. Okay, so still 0. I thought these were easy.
You can tell how closely we watched this
I
episode.
think
It's
can't you?
always easy when
it's
you've
not in our
studied
memory
it.
as much.
Yeah. Question number 4. Name Richie's dad.
Oswald Richard.
That is correct.
First point of the game.
Yeah, right. So, question number 5. Who was Oswald hit by during the Blitz? That's Matt.
Okay.
No.
No.
Paul's going to try and steal.
Was it like an air raid warden?
It was like an air raid
Yeah.
warden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's 2 points to Paul.
So what was it then? If it was like an air raid warden, what do you mean?
What's like an air raid warden? An air raid warden.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not the same, is it?
I'm going to give him that.
No,
Yeah.
fair enough.
I purposely didn't mention any of this during the podcast so I could ask this question, but I'm not holding out much hope that you're going to know the answer. So,
Okay.
Nana Muscuri
Yeah.
is mentioned as the name of a cheese with holes in
Yep.
by Eddie and Richie during
Yeah.
the show. Who actually is Nana Muscuri? Why is she
Well,
famous?
she's
Ooh,
Oh,
hang
fuck.
on. So, Paul did buzz there. Sorry,
Yeah.
Matt.
Was she an actress? No? Model? Okay, I don't know.
She's a singer. She's
Famous
a
singer.
weird singer with thick rim glasses. I know this because a friend of mine years ago, he had a bunch of random LPs on his wall, which he just bought them for the weird artwork and stuff.
Yeah.
And basically, he just found Nana.
Yeah.
And he didn't know who it was,
Right.
and then he found out more about her from this. And he just thought, like, what? Who's this
So-
weird, like, kind of an
Yeah,
auntie look?
she's a Greek singer who's had over 200 albums.
So was she stabbed at some point, or
no,
you know,
she's still going. She's 84.
So with holes in, it just
Yeah.
means because
Well,
she's a woman. Is
So
that what that
I
is?
did way too much Googling of Nana
Yeah.
Muscuri to
Right,
just
right.
see who she is. She now lives in Switzerland. I think the joke is that Swiss cheese has holes in it. I can't think why else there's a Swiss
Okay.
cheese, holes in it.
Right.
But you're right, I did at first think it must just be because she's got... But she's not
The Greek
famous
one
for
with the
being
holes
like
in.
really loose or anything.
yeah,
So
okay.
but I think it's because she now lives in Switzerland, so she's Swiss. Really random gag, isn't it? But
Sure.
there we go.
I do remember thinking on the rewatch, I thought I should check that out, but then I forgot to.
I wrote down in my notes.
Yeah.
I didn't get this.
All right.
I'll bring it up, but we passed.
Because I definitely didn't get it when
Because
it first
I
went
wondered
out.
if it was like, do you remember when they made the joke about Lena Zavaroni, like it's having an eating disorder? I wondered if it was a dark joke like that, and Nana Muscuri had been stabbed or shot at some point. You know?
That's why I looked it up. So like,
Okay.
holes in?
Yeah.
So there we go. Question number 7. John Abbott plays the Mormon who knocks at the door and Eddie punches. But what is the other name for the Mormon church?
Are they the Seventh-day Adventists? Okay.
Is it the patron saint of the Latter-day Saints or something? Something like that? I'm nearly there.
The Church of the Latter-day Saints.
It's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'll give you that, Matt.
Really?
You got Latter-day Saints, yeah.
Okay, all right. I wouldn't give that to me, but fair enough. So that's 2 apiece?
Two apiece. It took Richie 12.5 minutes
Oh, for fuck's sake.
to walk to the bus station and back.
This is a Paul-style question.
It's not that bad. So 12.5 minutes to walk to the bus station and back.
Yep.
So, if they needed to be there by midnight, what time would they have needed to have left the house at the very latest? Paul's buzzing.
11:47 and 30 seconds. 12 minutes 30 seconds?
No.
It's 6.
6 minutes and 15
fuck.
seconds.
So, can you steal, Matt?
Yes.
Shit.
Right, so I'll just say 1 second after him of what Paul said.
No, it's not the closest. It's not the closest to I want the actual.
Okay. 6 minutes and
Come on,
15 seconds
you need to
before
answer it
midnight.
quickly.
You've had
I'm not
loads
good
of
at maths.
time.
I'm not good at maths. Whatever. 11, 50,
All right, well,
3
I don't-
and 45 seconds.
Okay, I think you got there, yeah.
That is right.
Yeah.
So yes, 11:53 and 45 seconds.
I could see the workings going on in your mind as your face contorted with that.
So that means we've got 3 to Matt and 2 to Paul.
Fuck.
On to question number 9. Okay. Richie enlists the help of God to help lift the fridge. Name at least 2 other episodes of Bottom in which we see Richie pray. Matt's buzzed in first.
Okay. Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And Bottom Live. Why not?
I did say which episodes.
Yeah.
Can you give me another? Okay, because it is right. He does it in Bottom Live as well.
Yeah.
Paul frantically farting in the
Do
corner.
you know what one?
Hole, he prays with Eddie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well,
And
put them
Holy.
together. Holy.
And Holy.
Yeah.
As well.
Holy would be a better answer.
Yeah.
Right.
And they say,
What are
I
we
think
gonna-
we should all
Do we
pray.
get half a point each there?
Well,
What's the point of that if we're both?
it's
Because
kind of tricky.
It doesn't
I
help.
think,
If we get both at half a point, it
as-
doesn't help anything.
I think as
Might as well get
Quizmaster,
nothing.
I'm just going to say neither of you got
Yeah.
it. Name the actress who played Voluptua.
For fuck's sake. You mentioned her earlier, you named her, and I can't remember her
I put
name.
my phone down. I don't even.
Yeah.
Paul, you need to get this, otherwise Matt's got it. Stab in the dark.
Fuck it, a stab in the dog.
Nana Muscuri.
Oh, no. It was Joe-Ann Stockham.
Right.
Stockham.
Okay.
Joanne Stockham. That's
Well-
a weird rhymey name, isn't it?
Well, there we
Probably
go.
an actress's name. Matt has won this one, so
I
we're going to
don't
have to...
normally win.
Well, don't be so hard on yourself.
Well,
I think you've
it's
won
true.
some. in
No,
the
I've won
past.
some, but it's weird. Not caring anymore. I seem to be doing better.
If you're going to win any, this is the episode to win for.
Yeah, win the
Yeah.
ones you don't like.
I think it's indicative of how little any of us have rewatched this one.
Yeah.
Sure.
That it just doesn't come to you straight away, which is why I tried to do some other bits with other episodes
No, they were
and
good,
things.
good questions, yeah.
But there we go, that's fun. Wasn't it?
Lovely.
So,
Joe, next one, which second tape of series 3,
yeah.
which is the episode Dick Heads in the most.
I think the one that people would probably remember most as just the printing press episode, or maybe the pub quiz university challenge type episode. You know?
Yeah, the pub quiz.
So yeah, looking forward to that next week. In the meantime, if you want to follow us on social media, we are at Talking Bottom on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Please feel free to tweet us or give us a shout on any of those other forums, or drop us an email at 11mathkingparade@gmail.com.
Sure. We're also on iTunes, Podbean. Give us a review if you can, please. That really, really helps. And we read all of them. The bad ones too. The guys will send me the bad reviews, unprompted, and ruin my day.
But yes, please, if you are on social media, as most people are, please do share the podcast and give us a good review. Any oxygen of publicity is appreciated, and it does help.
Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Goodbye.
See you next time.